From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports. Keyboard to the boardroom. This is the Business of Esports Podcast. I am Paul the Prophet Dawalibi. I'm joined today by my friend and co-host, the Honorable Judge Jimmy Baratta. For those of you who are new here, welcome to the official podcast of esports. What we do is we cover the most pressing gaming and esports topics and news of the week, but we look at all of it through a business and C-suite lens. We dissect, we analyze the business implications of everything happening in this industry. For our regular listeners, thank you guys for tuning in every week. Thank you for all the love, the 5-star ratings and reviews. I promise we read all of them. We're humbled by all of them. We appreciate it if you left a review on the podcast, or even better, shared the podcast with a friend. That's the best thing you can absolutely do. Jimmy, how you doing this week?
Doing great, Paul. I hope you're doing well too. I just want to say happy podcast day to our listeners. And this is officially our Christmas episode. You know, Christmas this Sunday in the States or around the world if you celebrate. And we record, as you guys know, on Wednesday. So nothing better to do on a busy winter holiday with your family than listen to our podcast. So tune in.
You know, ironically, holidays are some of the best, the best times for viewership, for audience, for us at least. But I assume most podcasts are like this because people are at home. They have time to go to the gym. They have time to do things and listen to, a hour-long podcast. So if you're at home with family and you're listening to this, we appreciate it. Jimmy, are you ready for the holidays? Are you distracted though? Because I got to say, it's not the holidays that are distracting me. This is maybe the most distracting time of the year for me from a gaming perspective, even though I've done no gaming. Have you been watching Twitch at all?
I haven't been watching Twitch this week. I've been a little busy. I am distracted by some games that have come out. I'll share in a minute. I want to hear what you're getting at, but there's one thing that's distracting me. Yeah. What
I'm getting at is the esport that should have been that never was, which is World of Warcraft, and Race to World First. In my mind, is some of the best time wasting esport you could possibly watch. Just hours and hours on end of watching teams raid dungeons and doing raids in World of Warcraft, trying to take down bosses, dying hundreds of times repeatedly. I don't know what it is about it, but there's something there that I think
that's some good content.
The whole industry could take it up a notch and make this a premier esport, not sort of no offense to, Race to World First, because it is a big draw and it does draw a big audience. But, it's still a little bit of a sideshow in the grand scheme of esports, right? It's not CSGO or Dota or League. But having Twitch open, watching these teams raids for, 8, 10, 12 hours on end, I'm extremely jealous. I don't know what else to say.
It explains a lot about our LinkedIn DMs. So no, I've actually been distracted by the High on Life video game, new first-person shooter by the creative studio behind Rick and Morty. It's like the #1 game on Game Pass right now, the #1 third-party game in Game Pass's history. And I purchased it last night because I'm a buyer, not a renter, and I'm really excited to play that over the holiday weekend. I think I could beat it in a couple of days. So that's what's keeping my attention right now.
We are going to cover that story actually on the live stream. So if you're listening to this now, the live stream has already happened. But every Wednesdays, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, we stream it on basically every platform, and we cover all the news from the week. It's a lot of fun. Everyone should tune in. I am excited though for our guests this week, Jimmy, because they have had, their company has had just an unbelievable year. And I'm gonna recap this for them. I'm not gonna let them do it. I'm gonna do it for them here. But we have Andrew Drake, who's the co-founder and CEO of Bad Moon Talent, and Reed Trimble, who's the vice president of partnerships at Bad Moon Talent. Guys, welcome to the Business of Esports Podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks, Jimmy. Big fan of the pod. So excited we can finally get our faces on this.
That's always fun. And I always love when people come on and have listened to it before and have something to disagree with, right? Like a bone to pick or something. But I did want to, before I give you guys the floor to talk about yourselves and Bad Moon Talent, I did see the tweet, and I wanted to mention this because this is an incredible year in what was, I think, an otherwise tough year for gaming and esports. On the talent side, 75 exclusive content creators and broadcast talent, 500 campaigns executed with 250 different partners, 750 million in terms of reach across your talent roster, 50 million impressions delivered over 10 projects from a media perspective, and 3 branded experiences in Fortnite, which is cool. Actually, I'm curious which are the 3. But congrats, guys, on the big year. And would love, for those who haven't maybe heard of you or heard of Bad Moon Talent, would love a little bit of the story, the background, how you guys got into gaming, why you got into gaming, and what you're focused on today.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Paul, I appreciate all that. We're in a bit of a weird position sometimes with this stuff where you don't want to toot your own horn on this stuff, but yeah, I mean, like, we need to tell the world, or whatever you want to call it, what our successes are in this year. And to your point, it's, I think, been a mildly tough year for esports, and we're obviously doing pretty well within a tough industry and a tough year. And we just want to bring on more clients, obviously. So it's the unfortunate reality that sometimes we do have to put some of that stuff out, but we're obviously very proud of what became a very good 2022 for us. To answer your question, I've been in gaming for, gosh, about 12 years at this point, which I think pretty much makes me a dinosaur compared to the average person in gaming. I started in the advertising agency world in both New York and then in LA for about 5.5 years. And my last client on the agency side was Sony PlayStation. So around the 2010 time period, I kind of started working on first person shooters for PS, but really just first party releases in general. So we're talking games like Killzone, the SOCOMs of the world, MLB The Show, etc. First party games that Sony was putting out only on their platform, and the releases behind it. So for me, it really kind of kick-started my career in gaming. And what happened shortly after that was one of the people that I worked with at Deutsch, which was the ad agency, had gone over to Activision to work on Call of Duty marketing in 2012, and then he brought me over a couple months later. So that really kicked off a pretty long career at Activision and Blizzard. My original job was on the consumer marketing team, which, in a nutshell, meant pretty pictures, and the management of those pretty pictures kind of fell under my jurisdiction. So from everything from a TV commercial and a trailer to outdoor advertising, digital, etc., and everything in between, my responsibilities were to managing the marketing campaigns that we were putting out for Call of Duty, which, as you gentlemen obviously know, is an annual title. And what that basically means is the marketing literally never stops for Call of Duty. After doing that for a while, myself and a couple other people within Activision were kind of given an opportunity, and really saw an opportunity to, I don't know, kind of take the reins back on what became the Call of Duty World League. And what I mean by that is Call of Duty and Call of Duty esports were really happening kind of outside of Activision's jurisdiction. Adam and the MLG guys were kind of doing their own thing. There were some other vendors that were kind of putting on stuff as well, but there was not as much of a kind of a cohesive ecosystem that revolved around it. And, we kind of had the ability as the IP owners to bring that in house. So, in addition to my day job, and, with the help of 5 other people within Activision, we kind of launched the Call of Duty World League. So we were, operating the league in Europe, in North America, and then Australia. And then right before we were about to launch the season that we had done a lot of work to prep for, with ESL and ESL globally, Activision obviously acquired MLG, which kind of changed what the dynamic was, both with ESL, and then obviously put the writing on the wall very clearly that we would be working with MLG. So long story short, did that for a couple of years, which led to an opportunity to, be on the team of, I don't know, it was probably 10 or 12 people when I started, to launch the Overwatch League at Blizzard. and then eventually, Bad Moon Town, which I think we're going to get into today. But yeah, it's been a bit of a long journey in esports and also in gaming. Have no plans to leave. Love working in the industry. And with that, I think Reed should probably tell you about himself.
Glass half empty kind of guy, eh, Drake? I think we had a tremendous year, honestly. Super proud of the whole team and everything that we accomplished. As Drake mentioned, it's been a kind of a roller coaster with the economy and everything like that. I think with the extreme growth that gaming saw during COVID, we're finally starting to see everyone kind of come back to earth. Just looking at the Twitch numbers, they're pretty much on par with the viewership that was right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I think that's a big, trend coming into 2023 that we can all take a look at. But my background is, less on the esports side and more on the content creator side. So, have been doing influencer marketing for close to 5 years now. Started with NFL athletes on Facebook when that platform was relevant for brand marketing, and Twitter. Moved over to gaming once I saw, the Overwatch League Grand Finals in Barclays Center at year one, and said, holy smokes, this is an industry that I think can really take off. Made my way brokering brand deals for specific talent, anyone that I could get a hand on in terms of partnering them with a brand. And that's actually how I met Andrew. Was I brokered a deal with one of their talent at the time. Joined Bad Moon just over 3 years ago, and it's been a great ride since, and we've built a lot from where I think we started. So excited to dive into a little bit more of this during the pod.
Reed, I was going to say I was at the grand finals at Barclays Center. Other than DJ Khaled, that was maybe one of the
yeah, that one was a bit of a shock. I don't know if Drake can give some color on that.
Sure, we'd love to.
I don't think I've ever heard another one said more times in the span of 60 seconds. So,
well, I think the first thing I'll say is, and I was in the building as well. It sure was memorable, if nothing else.
If that was the point, it was genius marketing.
I think, unfortunately, it wasn't the point. At the time, there were some decisions being made that I probably disagreed with slightly, and I think, I think the level of, celebrity or level of, talent that you wanted on the stage was met. I'm just not sure DJ Khaled at 3 p.m. or whatever it was probably the best choice. But to each his own. And again, we're still talking about it, so maybe the joke's on us.
It was definitely memorable. Can you guys talk a bit about Bad Moon Talent? Talent in the name, but talk a little bit about what the business is focused on today, and maybe like I talked about branded experiences in Fortnite or things like that. Just maybe some specific things out of that first summary in terms of your 2022 that maybe you guys want to expand on, because I think some of these are probably quite interesting, either campaigns or talent or experiences that you guys have done work on this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of high level the company. As you see on the top line there, we are a talent agency at heart. So, what that basically boils down to for us is about half of our people under management are esports broadcast talent. First and foremost, Overwatch League is a perfect example of, we manage several talent in that league, from, Uber and Mr. X to Jaws and Avril and Achilleos and, several people. That part of the business is really the part of the business that I lead. And it's really just based on the background that I had. So one of my major responsibilities at Blizzard was negotiating talent contracts and doing talent management on behalf of the company. And, eventually I kind of just switched teams. What it kind of boiled down to for me in those days is, 2 or 3 months out of the year, we would be negotiating, with and against broadcast talent, for Overwatch League and for Call of Duty World League, and eventually Call of Duty League. But, the other 9 or 10 months out of the year, my job was really to work with those talent that we contracted to populate our broadcast, but also populate our shoulder content, our, branded content, whatever we were working on. So, I think it gave me a unique insight into what talent management is, the good, the bad side of it, what negotiation looks like, and more so just showed what a relationship business or relationship based business this really is. And to be honest, I just thought, if I found the right partner, I could probably do this, and that's eventually what I did. On the creator side is really the other side of our business, which I think Reed is probably best served to speak on.
Yeah, so I think when I first started, the majority of our roster, if not all of them, were either pro players or broadcast talent. So from a brand partnerships perspective, it really limited my capabilities to go out and chase deals, considering, you look at any major esports organization, they have anywhere between 5 to 8 major blackout categories. So given my background in content creators, we, worked as a team to really bolster that side of the business. So we started recruiting and signing streamers, YouTubers, and most recently TikTokers. And from there, we've been able to, again, scale to a point where we're doing 500 brand deals plus a year. What's happened over time is two things. One, we've built a roster big enough that it can reach hypothetically 70 million people at one time. And two, we've worked with agencies and brand partners on multiple campaigns to where, these people are looking for an all-in-one 360 in-house solution, right? So as a agency, it's a lot easier to go to one talent agency and say, hey, we have, X amount of impressions or X amount of views or X amount of, budget to fill. Can you guys do the whole order, as opposed to stretching your resources to 3 or 4 different ones and having to negotiate different contracts and recruit different talent all over the place. So that's kind of where we're seeing our business grow the most, is more of these like 360 all in-house type partnerships. And we actually enjoy those a lot more because it allows us as a team, between Bryce, our other co-founder, Andrew, and myself, we have around 20 years of experience within gaming, right? So it makes more sense for brands a lot of the time, if they don't have a creative brief, to come to us. And, again, we can come up with everything from the idea to the execution and reporting in between. So I think, and we've evolved, the talent is still in the name and it is our core business. But if Coca-Cola came to us tomorrow with $500,000, we could come up with an amazing campaign that would, resonate with the gaming audiences and do it all in-house within our roster.
I have a question about that, Reed, specifically with these 360 deals and a client like Coca-Cola, for example, just because you threw the name out there, but interchange it with, with anyone you've worked with. How sophisticated are the requests? Do they really rely on you guys to, like you said, to come up with the campaign and just say, here's our interest in the money? Or are they showing a greater understanding of the video game industry as a whole, and maybe offering or adding specific interests, needs, demographics, et cetera, that they're looking forward, or that they're looking to activate across?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. We have been in conversations with brands about doing, year-long, quarter-long RFPs, which are definitely more in depth. And it's something that we work on as a team, right? So we all come to the table with ideas. We all kind of narrow down those ideas, and those are on deck. We're talking everything from ideation to sourcing a production partner to filming commercials to everything that goes on, in a traditional ad world RFP. And it's been great to have Andrew on board, just given his background ad agencies. The other side, and I think what's becoming more common and business that we're winning more is, Coca-Cola, for example, has leftover budget at the end of the year, or leftover budget in between, quarters. And they say, hey, we got 50K, we got 100K. We want to, throw a tournament, like do an Apex tournament, or we want to, launch a TikTok campaign or something like that. And for a lot of the traditional ad agencies, the publicists, the OMDs, that sort of stuff, they're not going to touch those because it's not $1 million. But for us, that's a great opportunity for us to flex our creative muscles, but also a great revenue opportunity. So I think that's, the scrappy kind of nature that we can put forward. And at the end of the day, we're, 4 people total, but I think we have enough partners, and we also have enough capabilities from a talent side to make it seem like, we're a real agency that can actually put together some really fun campaigns. Drake, I don't know if you have anything to touch on there.
I would not have said it as well as you did, Reed. So
it is my job. So
are there brands, groups of brands, like types of brands that are you find are responding more favorably these days, or wanting to experiment more, or wanting to spend more money in the space? Like, are you seeing a trend in the types of customers coming through the door?
I think it varies month to month, year to year. If you were to ask me this question 6 months ago, I would have said crypto is like our number one spender, but we all know how that ended up. I think CPG brands have always been consistently spending. You're always going to see the Kit Kats, the Mondelez, like I said, Coca-Cola, the PepsiCos. From our side, I think telecom has been good. They're traditionally and also automotive. I think we've seen a transition from, hey, let's go out and sponsor the biggest esports team, which they already are doing, and more of, hey, how can we create like a creator first Twitch activation or a TikTok activation? But from our standpoint, I think the biggest trend this year has been the not avoidance, but decline in Twitch only partnerships, and more interest in YouTube and specifically TikTok deals. I think what happened was a lot of brands spent a lot of money on Twitch during COVID, and they're now looking at the analytics and saying, hey, maybe we overspent on that platform. Whereas, they're just starting to explore short form content. They're just starting to explore YouTube and TikTok, YouTube Shorts and TikTok as a viable marketing platform. So that's kind of a trend that I see going into the next year.
Does that sort of drive the decision making on the talent signing side, right? Do you guys is there a sort of a cycle there where you see, hey, a lot of these brands are coming in, they're interested in more short form, they want to experiment with TikTok, so maybe the esports broadcaster that does a 2-hour-a-week podcast isn't the guy or the right guy for that campaign, and we need to sign talent that's more, TikTok creators or something. Like, is what the brands are coming in for, does that drive any of the talent decisions, or are the talent signing decisions totally independent?
Yeah, I can talk on the creator side, and then Drake, maybe you talk on the actual, what goes into choosing like an on-air talent. But for the creator side, it's certainly, like, again, the number one request we get when we talk to talent or prospective talent is, get me more brand deals, right? So, for us, it's about finding talent that are going to be valuable to brands. And of course, there's numbers attached to it, but there's also intangibles like, females are really popular right now for brand partnerships. Are they brand safe? Do they play the right games? What's their growth potential? So we're at a point right now where we can be really picky about who we sign. So all these factors kind of go into how we, scout, talk to, and ultimately sign talent. That's on the creator side. I think it's very brand focused and very growth focused. Like, again, can this creator turn into someone that, we can sign to an esports organization or really see become like a superstar within the industry? Drake, I think podcasting is a great example, and stuff we're doing right now on the broadcast side. Maybe you can touch on, what goes into choosing broadcast talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think this short answer is we're looking for people who've got that hustle factor and who have that it factor. We're looking for people who are either stars now, or if a couple things break their way, they could be stars. When I'm reviewing things like broadcaster reels, I've seen enough of them at this point that I can generally tell in 20 seconds of their reel if they've got both of, the it factor and the star quality. I mean, one, it's not rocket science, but two, I've done it enough. And, as far as the hustle mentality goes, I think that speaks to more of the podcast comment of, we ideally don't want just a talent who is, I'm only a Valorant talent in this region, and I'm always going to be at the whims of what Riot wants to do. What I ideally look for is people who say, yeah, I'm a, Valorant first talent in EMEA or whatever, but I'm doing X, Y, and Z, on my own. I'm open to these other 3 games, and, I can go out and find them more business in addition to what they're currently doing. We want people who really want it as bad as, I want to build a great company, and Reed wants to sell deals. Like, and it kind of goes both ways. The people that we're most successful with are the ones that are just as hungry as we are.
Now I'm definitely curious what you're looking for in that reel, in the 20 seconds where you're figuring it out. Andrew, what is that? How do you spot that? I mean, is it more art?
Paul's about to go to do his own reel after this podcast.
I mean, look, how do I say this? Having the right look, having the right voice is obviously really important. Being on games that I think have a proper growth trajectory and aren't going to go away tomorrow. If you're a caster, how well you partner with, your play-by-play or your color person. Do you have a duo that's set? Do you work with 5 people? If you're an analyst, how well do you play off your other analysts and also your hosts? If you're a host, are you always leading your analysts to a place where they can shine? If you're a host, are you doing your proper ins and outs and transitions? Again, like, there's no perfect answer to this, but you have to have the fundamentals to do the job and to be successful long term if you're a broadcast talent, and some people have it and some don't.
Have you noticed, Drake, a difference in age between your talent as well as your broadcast talent in terms of what the audience resonates more so with? The same way we might analyze age for a competitive edge, but taking that same kind of concept to how they resonate with their audiences or with their activations.
Yeah, I mean, look, age is important, but to a certain degree, and I'll give you 2 different answers to that. Well before I switched over to running and starting Bad Moon Talent, Maven was a talent that I managed, internally at Activision. And I can remember vividly having the conversation with him 5-6 years ago saying, look, there might be an end date on this, and we need to think about what, could happen for your future career. Fast forward to today, he's someone that I think might be around for another 10 years as broadcast talent if he wants. And I think the real reason for that is, one, I think esports is evolving and you don't have to be young anymore to be relevant. And 2, he's just really freaking good at his job. And, until someone takes that throne from him, he's going to be there, whether it's in Call of Duty or another future game. The opposite answer to what you said is, we brought on a talent, and I won't say who it is, but someone that works in multiple relevant titles, who is female, who speaks multiple languages, and probably wasn't at the talent level that we generally bring on. But we brought this person on about, 12 or so months ago, and she is proving us out in spades that we were right to bet on her, because she's doing the right thing. She's got the other, intangibles or whatever you want to call it that kind of makes her pop versus her competition. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Jimmy?
I like
perfect sense. Yeah, it actually gives me a lot. Oh, sorry, Paul. It gives me reassurance for your seniors tournament that you want to do with older gamers and maybe some older broadcast talent. Get you back in the limelight. Maybe
I turn 38 next month, so I'm the old guy on a lot of calls and a lot of meetings. But I've got support for my older talent on the roster, like Clint as well.
Guys, I just want to zoom out 30,000-foot view here, because one of the things that fascinates me most from the talent perspective is the power dynamic and how that has evolved over the last even just 2 or 3 years. How are you guys seeing sort of where power lies when you're comparing sort of talent versus an org, or talent versus a publisher that's maybe hiring them, or talent versus a brand? I feel like this power dynamic has evolved, but I'd love your insight and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it has evolved. I think that unlike potentially some of our competition, and I'm just pretending that's the real answer because I don't actually know, I'm not trying to win every deal as an agent. On the contrary, like I find the best deals that I put together are the ones where, whatever publisher, developer, or brand that we're negotiating with and against, that we all walk away saying this is a fair deal, and now it's on Reed, myself, and Bryce and the team to go out there and make sure that our person executes and does what they've been hired to do, so that the next year we can do this deal again, but on better terms. I think some people would say, agents just want to win every deal, and they're out there for the money. Like, yeah, that is true. Like, I'm trying to keep the lights on and running my business the way I am, but nobody likes walking away from negotiation feeling like the other side's an asshole. And I think the most accurate version of what I think people probably say about me is that I'm tough but fair. I'm not trying to take every last dollar. What I'm actually trying to do is look out for the people we represent, get what they are worth, and make sure that they then do a good job for what we agreed that they would do.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm in on the brand side. I think now that there's so much monetization tools available for creators, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, every platform's able to monetize, and there's just a lot more money in the space. I would say the power dynamic is shifted to the creator, where we've had talent turn down five-figure paychecks because they're not aligned with the creative direction or the brief or anything like that. So I think what brands can do to not swing it back in their favor, but more have, like, as Drake mentioned, a real handshake agreement here, is give some of the creators some creative direction in the brand briefs. There's been too many ones that have come in that have a really great paycheck attached, but at the end of the day, the creator knows it's a paycheck and they don't want to feel like a sellout, right? So giving those creators a little bit of ability to say, hey, this is how I would present this product or this promotion to my audience is really going to change the game. And also just an emphasis on longer term partnerships for this year, I think is going to be a really strong way that brands can connect and build authentic relationships with creators.
Reed, that's a great segue to my last question for you guys. And since this is technically, I guess, our Christmas episode, or second last episode of the year here, talk to me about trends that you guys are excited about for 2023, whether it's from a brand engagement side or a talent side. Like, what are some of the things that you think going into the new year everyone listening should be thinking about or talking about, or at least have in the back of their minds?
I've got one big one, and I'm sure Reed's got a bunch of ones that he wants to add. For me, I think I don't know if it's new, but I think the buzzword you're going to hear in our industry is either sustainability or profitability. I think we've got a pretty decent issue that we need to overcome esports and some sections of gaming as well. And you need companies that are going to be around for the long haul. And I think it's on all of us to build companies, to build brands, whatever, that can turn a profit so that, we can actually make this a long-term thing. I think the good news is, it may not seem like this, but esports has only been around for a certain amount of time. Baseball's been around for 150 years. So we got a long ways to go. But I think you're going to see some trimming of the fat of some of the companies that just don't have the right sauce in the new year. And I think you're going to see the companies that are doing the right things really succeed.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point. From a marketing perspective or an influencer marketing perspective, two things to watch out for. I mentioned this previously, but long-term partnerships are going to be keys to success. On average, I think it was like 60 or 65% of people would purchase a product more likely if it's a longer term deal, if they've seen the influencer post about it more than 4 times. That was a recent report done by an influencer marketing agency that run a bunch of data. So, the proof's in the pudding there. And then second of all, authenticity is going to be, I know it's the most overword used in all of influencer marketing, but it is going to be more important than ever, especially in gaming, because as I mentioned, brands had their tea during COVID. They spent a ton of money on gaming. Now they're running all the analytics, and they're trying to determine, okay, do we double down or do we pull our budgets? And it's been frustrating sometimes this year getting briefs that we know as an agency would just not do well in gaming. However, you know, what said brand has already spent $500,000 to $1 million putting this creative forward. So, you know, my advice to brands, agencies, whoever's holding these budgets, get a gaming expert on your team. And if you don't have one, ask a talent agency or ask the people that rep the talent, because I can guarantee you that they're going to know exactly what works and what doesn't, and how they can translate that message to their audiences. And if they don't have a talent agency, ask the creator. Like, I guarantee you they're going to come up with just as good, if not better ideas than what we can ourselves. So my 2 points, you know, long-term deals, long-term partnerships, and ask someone if you don't know to how to be authentic.
I love that, guys. I think two I agree on both trends, frankly. Just to wrap this up, guys, everyone's favorite new segment, Judge Jimmy's cross-examination here. What we're going to do, we're going to ask you a couple very rapid-fire questions, Judge Jimmy will, and want to get to know you guys a bit better as people, as gamers, as, you know, business people. They're easy questions, rapid-fire. Judge Jimmy, take it away.
All right, guys, just a couple quick ones here, like Paul said, so no need to explain your answers, just come knee-jerk reactions, I suppose. First question, and we'll go first Drake, then Reed, I think, and then we'll reverse it on the way back for the next question. Favorite Fortnite activation? And it can be one of your own.
No, it's not. I really like that the NFL has gone into Fortnite and on the skins front. You know, for me, it's maybe not a watershed moment necessarily, but the coming together of, I don't know, the largest sports brand in the world with a game like Fortnite, I think speaks volumes about where we are and hopefully where we're going.
The first skin I bought, by the way, was an NFL skin in Fortnite. Go for it, Reed.
Yeah, again, really hard to test. I actually just want to give a round of applause to the entire Epic team as in general. I think they've pushed the boundaries, not just with the NFL, because they did the stadium as well, but you know, you look at the height of anime is right now, Naruto collection, Dragon Ball Z collection. It's just DC, Marvel, like basically they've taken every single pop culture phenomenon and put it into their game. So the fact that they've been able to do that is unbelievable. And, you know, please Google Fortnite creative changes for 2023, because they have some big ones coming that are really going to shake up the game in the metaverse and be head-to-head competitors with Roblox. So we're really pumped about that.
I love these answers, and just because I'm also on the Fortnite bandwagon, I'm going to ask a follow-up for our next quick question here. When a group such as you mentioned, DC, Marvel, we can mention any fashion brand, for example, the NFL, when a group partners with Fortnite and does an activation, who do you think generally benefits more, Fortnite or the partner? And we'll go Reed, then Drake.
I would say the partner. They're getting immediate access into the gaming industry in an extremely authentic way. And they're reaching probably 90% of their target audience.
I think I would also say a partner. I think that it's a way to extend the partner's brand into a new world. You know, you look at any of the concerts that they've done within Fortnite and the monetization of those concerts, easier lift in the brand, easier lift on everyone around the artist. And oh, by the way, they made a shitload of money to do it. I don't know. What do you think, Jimmy?
I agree with you guys completely. I'm a huge Fortnite gamer. Yeah. Paul as well, partner. Yeah. We have this debate all the time whenever there's a new activation on the live show. Last one, guys, for me, and then we'll wrap up here. And we'll start again with you, Drake, and then go back now to Reed. Favorite gaming IP that's been converted into a TV series or movie?
None. I think they're all terrible.
You didn't like the Warcraft movie?
No, first of all,
what about the Halo movie, Drake?
I've never been like a big superhero movie guy anyways, and I think those worlds kind of collide a little bit, but I mean, who's done it well? Is the best version, the League of Legends series on Paramount? I don't know, maybe. As far as, your Halo movies and stuff like that, like, I don't know. It just always reeked as a cash grab on all sides, and I'm not sure anyone's ever done it very well.
I got one. You guys
All
will
right.
agree with this. Arcane on Netflix. Pretty good. Pretty good. Set records for animated content on Netflix. Really well scripted by Riot, and I think that will be the blueprint moving forward. And shout out to Netflix. Actually, they got a Dota show on there that has 2 seasons now. So I think they've set the blueprint in terms of how to actually do it right. Yet to see a good movie, though. I think the movie thing is chalk. I don't know how they would.
Isn't there a Super Mario Brothers movie or something?
That one's
Chris
coming.
Pratt, baby.
Low hopes for that one.
Yeah,
but I just love
Sonic
how
movie. The Sonic.
Yeah,
movie
the Sonic
with,
movie did quite well. Jim Carrey was the villain.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
I just love how Drake's response was so immediate. It's like, nuts.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I hope someone cracks the code. I'd love to be a part of it at some. I'd love to have talent in it, but like, if I'm being honest, who's really done it well?
Well, that's all from me, guys. I love the responses. Appreciate your time on the show. Giving you back to Paul here.
Guys, for people who want to follow what you guys are doing, follow Bad Moon Talent, follow, some of the things you guys are working on. Where can they find you or follow you?
I mean, if you're a brand, obviously our website is probably the easiest, badmoontalent.com. If you're a potential talent that wants to, be rep by us, you can reach us in a bunch of ways, whether it's, Twitter DMs or, sending an inquiry through our website and, reaching out to us there. Or obviously we work in the most word of mouth industry that I think there is. And generally, if you've heard good things about us, it's probably from a talent we already rep. Look, I mean, we're always on the lookout for, new people to work with. That's the business we're in and always will be. And obviously looking forward to 2023 and what it brings for us.
Guys, I just want to say I love the story. Congrats on all the success in 2022. I definitely think everyone should go check out badmoontalent.com. I know we have a lot of brands who listen, and I can't think of many groups better than yours to work with. So I encourage everyone to check it out. Also, just a little bit of housekeeping. Everyone should follow Business of Esports everywhere you get our content, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on YouTube, you name it. We put content on all these platforms every single week. You should go check it out, go follow. Also, don't forget the live stream every Wednesdays, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's all the news from the week. It's a bigger cast. It's a lot of fun. And you get to disagree with me in person, or at least virtually. And I always enjoy that. So highly recommend everyone show up for that. Reed, thank you. Andrew, thank you. Jimmy, thank you. As always, guys, thank you for listening. Don't forget the most important thing, though. The future is fun. We'll see you next week.